In this sharing, you are not only going to see this representative of the quote atheist community called the deconstruction zone run from me now for the third time, literally. You will also not only see him lie and assert claims when it comes to things that he clearly has no idea about, and this when it comes to things that anybody can look up for themselves. But on top of all of that, you will see that in the sheer panic that he's trying to cover up, he actually does what he claims so many others have done in his conversations and completely crashes out and is dumb enough to challenge me to a fight. So of course, all of you who are not the ignorant, paid trolls of this quote-unquote atheist community, do not let him run away from his words at all. So before we begin with about the only thing he got correct throughout this conversation, I challenge any one of you atheists whom claim you are of intelligence to, of course, actually have the intestinal fortitude to watch throughout this video and the others that have literally destroyed this quote deconstruction zone, and see if you can form an actual rebuttal outside of not being able to cope with this truth and wanting to run to some premature wannabe insulted just like this kid here you would never say in person. So without further ado, here we'll begin with about the only thing that this child got correct throughout this conversation.
For those who don't know, the real true Messiah is here. His name is Landy Christ. And he's the reincarnated Jesus.
The ultimate past and the continual ongoing present and the ultimate future. The ultimate future is Mashiach. The soul of Mashiach. The ultimate past is Adam. He's the first soul. He's the beginning. He's the first. The last is Mashiach. Who's the middle soul? So the Arizal says that the middle soul, even though he already lived, but he's still continuously alive. His life is going on, and he represents the present. The three souls, the Arizal says, are the initial letters of the word Adam himself, because they're all included within the very first one, Adam. And what does Adam stand for? Adam. It stands for Adam, David, Mashiach. And the present is David, Melech Yisrael, Chai V'Kayim. We're living in that present. But Adam, the very first word, Adam, stands for the beginning of all of history and the middle of all of history. As King David is considered the midpoint of history. And the end is Mashiach. And it's all one soul, that it's the unfolding of one soul. So that is Adam, David, Mashiach. Adam, David, and Mashiach.
So though perhaps some of you of a kind heart may be thinking to yourselves, you know, it would be hard-pressed to be able to find an atheist that would give anybody such an introduction. Though unfortunately he was being sarcastic, which looking back on this video, of course may freak him out all the more. But even after him running from me in the ways in which he has, and acting like a tough guy in the comments section while I'm destroying his associates during their quote live conversations, as you will see throughout my videos. As you're about to see and hear for yourself, I still was conducting myself more than cordially, more than polite to somebody who ultimately proved once again didn't deserve anything whatsoever outside of course, my foot in its mouth. So now we'll begin this conversation and you'll hear him cry out his hope of what the outcome would be, and then you'll see it actually befall him.
Watch Landy Christ crash out. Landy Christ, welcome back. Do you have evidence this time?
Hey, well, last time you wanted me to present actually in regards to evidence as to why I'm the actual Mashiach, but
Yes.
you actually, buddy, contradicted your own definition earlier in the live. You should have asked me what history I fulfilled. Now, first of all, you are about to see how this coward completely runs from the topic that he had up as a banner. And the last time we spoke, as you're about to see here in a moment, he was trying to cling to the banner with all he could, knowing I was going to completely crush his nonsense claims. As you will see in the video of our previous discussion, I sent him a list of the claims which were addressed and crushed ultimately.
Prophecies tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to...
No one cares about that.
Okay, do you want to address some of your past mistakes? Because you've been on here talking junk and you don't know what you're talking about. You actually, buddy, contradicted your own definition earlier in the live. You should have asked me what history I fulfilled.
I'm asking you to validate that you fulfilled the messianic prophecies. Which prophecies did you fulfill?
Now we'll see that Justin has a little bit of brain fog when it comes to just earlier in this very same live. That and a mix of, again, this charlatan's up here just in complete dishonesty and in way over his head with me. In his desperate attempt to run from his corrected claims, overcome by his fear, he has made the mistake of completely contradicting his definition of a prophecy that he explained in a previous conversation with an angel he was talking to in this very same live conversation. You'll notice how this lying pretender was trying to utilize it at the time to put her in a corner, when ultimately all he did was get lined up by God for me. As you are about to see, even with what we saw before, it was still completely stupid to even ask me what it is that I have fulfilled by his own definition of a prophecy.
My God.
All right, before you get carried away on your script, what is a prophecy? Definitionally, what is a prophecy?
A prophecy is something prophetically speaking by the Holy Spirit to redeem or give information of the coming of Christ, or Messiah prophecy is coming of Christ.
Try this again.
So this is why I was going to
prophecy is a prediction for the future by God, from God, or information about the present time that otherwise wouldn't be known. A prophecy is a prediction for the future. It's when God talks to his prophet and says X, Y, and Z is going to happen, and we know that they're talking about the future because they're using future tense language. The words will happen lets you know grammatically that something's happening in the future. If I said a thing did happen, that means it happened in the past. That's not a prophecy, that's called a history. I'm asking you to validate that you fulfilled the messianic prophecies. Which prophecies did you fulfill? If I said a thing did happen, that means it happened in the past. That's not a prophecy, that's called a history.
As you see now, how completely asinine it was of this clown to ask me what prophecies did I fulfill. Now, on top of including the light shined earlier on the portrait of the Mashiach by the grace of God being realized through me. The fact that I am the true line of Christ, that history, is the fulfilled prophecy of Jeremiah 33:17, that there shall never lack a man from the house of David, a descendant, a son, to sit on the throne of the house of Yisrael. Listen, I didn't say that they're finished. I said I am the Mashiach.
Yeah, but how do we know that you're the Mashiach if you didn't fulfill any prophecies? If I said a thing did happen, that means it happened in the past. That's not a prophecy, that's called a history.
It's not finished yet. And by the way, but I was actually calling in to address your actual banner today, if you don't mind.
Well, are you God?
Oh, no, I never said that at all. Of course not.
So you don't believe in the Trinity?
No, I don't, Justin. And I have to
so
say...
You're the Messiah, but you're not the Trinity Messiah.
No, not at all. That's Roman doctrine. If you look into the Ebionites, buddy, it'll give you a better view on history. And I have to say, Justin, that was about a...
But you are the Messiah, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And how long are you going to be on the earth?
How long am I going to be on the earth? Well, just like David lived a certain amount of time, just like Solomon lived a certain amount of time, however many years God blesses me with.
And what are you going to do while you're here?
Well, first and foremost, I was going to address your topic today, buddy, if you don't mind.
You can get to it eventually.
Now, as is the usual case with Justin, you will see that he just blatantly, flat out lied. As they've sent their little troll scouts to my page and have seen proof such as science's Big Bang Theory overlaying with Genesis, both in text and gematria, and also Kabbalistic records, and simply know there's no way they're able to debunk any of this God-given proof. I was going to address your topic today, buddy, if you don't mind.
You can get to it eventually. I want to ask you a couple questions. How long, what are your goals here while you're here?
Well, if you remember that in Jeremiah 33, there's of course, scripture speaking of a new covenant, unlike that which was, of course, out of Egypt. And now here, just as you heard, as soon as I said Jeremiah 33, I said, excuse me, obviously not to Justin, and then said, there are scriptures, as I was then referencing prior to Jeremiah 33. To what is in Jeremiah 31, a covenant unlike that, leaving out of Egypt, and was still going to tie it back into Jeremiah 33, which holds there will always be a man from the house of David to sit on the throne of Israel, emphasizing a man due to Justin's previous question asking if I was God itself, which expresses itself through all of creation. If you remember that in Jeremiah 33, there's of course scripture speaking of a new covenant unlike that which was of course out of Egypt, and ultimately the name David in
Jeremiah 31.
Ultimately, the name Adam stands as a calendar, a clock. Speaking of, I mentioned 33 in particular because obviously it states there will always be a man, not God, but a man to sit on the throne. Correct. But I was mentioning
the throne of what?
The throne of Israel, a man from the house of David.
Are you on the throne of Israel right now?
Oh,
are you calling from Israel?
Hold on, are you?
Someone get BB on the phone. Someone's got a throne.
And here, unfortunately, Justin only makes himself look all the more like an idiot, as the text states that the house of David shall never fail to have a man to sit on the throne of Israel. To, as in, I didn't have to be sitting there right now at the moment. But yet and still, there is no other.
So, in any case, Justin, the name Adam itself stands in acronym form as a calendar, as a clock. Am I yelling at you right now because I'm making sure you can hear me, and I see you have headphones on?
I don't think you're yelling. I think you're okay. But
Okay.
Adam is not an acronym for anything.
It's an acronym for Adam to David to Mashiach. Anyone can look this up.
That is Adam, David, Mashiach. Adam, David, and Mashiach.
Oh, it definitely is.
That's in English, by the way. The name Adam is not in English.
No, the name Adam in Hebrew is 3 letters, A, D, and M. Those are English letters, of course, that I'm communicating that in. But when you look up the Hebrew, you're going to see 3 letters, and the equivalent is A, D, and M.
Yeah, it's Aleph dot Mem, yeah.
Correct. And that Aleph dot Mem.
You're the Messiah. You're the Jewish Messiah that didn't know Hebrew. I remember now.
Oh no, you're absolutely incorrect. As a matter of fact, buddy. I will. But as a matter of fact, buddy, Cyber got caught not knowing Hebrew, saying.
Now, as you all just heard, I had to remind this kid that Adam is indeed Hebrew and made up of 3 Hebrew letters. And then after he acknowledged it, Aleph, Dot, and Mem, he then went on to state something in regards to me not knowing Hebrew after I just had to remind him Adam is indeed Hebrew. And his friend, his associate of this extinct atheist community, which have all resorted to blocking and running from me, as I will be showing you, was caught literally uttering gibberish, attempting to come off as if he knew Hebrew, as this community has turned out to be simply an infestation of liars.
Spewing some. Yes, he did. I have it on video. You're wrong. I have it on video, and you're lying, buddy.
You need to seek professional help for your delusions.
Well, hey, you know what? I was actually going to show you how the Big Bang Theory overlays with Genesis and Kabbalistic records. You want to talk about my delusion after that?
We're not even to that point yet. You're still trying to tell me what the acronym of Adam is.
No, I told you. I told you literally. You just didn't catch it. From Adam, since Adam to David to Mashiach, which is literally a breakdown of what it means that Israel is my son, even my firstborn, as this history, these records.
Is Eve an acronym?
Is what? Is Eve an acronym? Also? You know, that's a very great question because, of course, without Eve, none of us are here. But as you know, it is literally recorded as a patriarch coming down. Of course, the patriarchs are listed here in particular.
That's a yes or no question. Is Eve an acronym?
Is Eve an acronym?
Now here we see, after I just had to give him a review on Hebrew, and he stated that I didn't know Hebrew, you are now seeing that this one that quote speaks English must not know English. Como ves aquí.
I didn't state that it was.
I know. I asked you if it was. Okay. So Adam is an acronym. Is he the only one of the Genesis figures that is?
In particular, this in particular is the holding exclusive to being the Mashiach.
Is he the only one in Genesis that we should take their name to be some sort of a metaphor or a sign for something in the future?
When it comes to the Messiah, yes.
So that's it. So you just randomly picked one guy from the whole book of Genesis and said, hey, those 3 letters remind me of something. I'm going to give it a prophetic meaning.
You know what, Justin? I expect better from you, buddy. It's going to your quote, having these quote degrees and quote seminary school. I expect better from you because anyone that looks into this is going to pull it up and you're going to look very funny.
Pull what up? That you took one word from the book of Genesis and you liked the arrangement of the 3 letters and said, that's a secret meaning.
Me and sages that have been holding it for longer than you've been alive, buddy.
No,
all they got to do is look it up.
The 3 souls, the Arizal says, are the initial letters of the word Adam himself, because they're all included within the very first one, Adam. And what does Adam stand for? Adam. It stands for Adam, David, Mashiach.
Justin, why are you talking out of your butt for nothing? What are you doing?
Landy, do you like get a kick out of embarrassing yourself on every live you go on?
You're literally gonna embarrass yourself on a literal.
Does your mother know that you do this?
Oh, that's so kind.
Now here, as we analyze the psyche, we see Justin fully, as he places it, crashing out, losing control of his emotions and ultimately his mind, and beginning to speak of my literally great mother. Now you will see in a moment that there are hanger-ons of this quote-unquote community that were trying to twist the truth and state that I challenged Justin to a fight, in essence being a bully of sorts. But you're about to see that I, in the responsibility that should reasonably be expected of me, being what it is that I am by the grace of God, began to move the conversation back to the subject matter at hand, which of course Justin was running from, as he cannot handle this, and he begins to again completely lose control of his emotions.
Hey, listen, do you want to see? I know you said your cat's name was Pie.
Yes or no question. Does your mother know that you're out here making a fool of yourself?
Oh, man, that's sad. Justin, you know everyone watching this knows you would never speak like this in person.
Yes. Do you still talk to your parents?
You know that you would never talk like this in person. Why are you acting like this?
Yeah, I would.
No, you wouldn't. You would get destroyed, buddy. Yeah, don't talk like that. Stop. Don't be silly.
The Messiah threats of violence.
Don't worry, you're safe. We're talking right here.
Now, as you just heard, after looking to remind Justin that he wouldn't be acting like this in person, I ultimately let him know, don't worry, you're safe. We're talking right here. However, like the coward that he is, that seems to only have triggered him into thinking that he can go on to say whatever it is that he wants without any repercussion, as you are about to see him continue to completely lose himself.
But do you want to get into the actual...
You're welcome to come by and test it out. I'll give you my address offline. You can come by anytime.
Hey, no problem. Go ahead and do that. You know what we can do is we'll go to a gym together, sign a waiver, and I promise not to embarrass you too badly.
Can't wait.
All right, no problem. I'll wait for that message. And now I got this screenshot. Don't let me down.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So would you like to see how the Big Bang Theory overlays with Genesis and Kabbalistic records?
No, it doesn't.
It does. Would you like to see?
I'm still waiting for the proof that you're the Messiah. Remember that?
I told you before, you need to go look through my sharings and you'll see it thoroughly.
I'm not looking through your dumb profile. I want the evidence that you're the Messiah.
Bro, the only thing that's dumb here is you. Have you heard about Michael Persinger?
So you don't actually have
I'm about to tell you. Have you heard about Michael Persinger proving quantum entanglement?
I already know that quantum entanglement's a thing.
Okay, now I was telling you last time that we spoke that Genesis, the first verse, is made up of 28 characters.
Just to be clear, this is going to be about you being the Messiah, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right, so there is a rabbi by the name of Yitzhak Ginsburg who has held that when the Mashiach comes, radio channels are going to be on a whole different level. This pertains directly with what Michael has proven with quantum entanglement.
Rabbi? He's alive now?
He is alive right now. Yes, a great angel by the name of Yitzhak Ginsburg. That's correct.
So Isaac Ginsburg.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay, and what?
Let's see. It says he died in 1975.
No, that's not the same angel. But if I may, Justin, the way that this connects is he's been holding that when the Mashiach comes, radio channels will be on a whole different level, a different frequeny, a different vibration.
Where does this information come from?
Yes, I just told you, Justin. These sages such as Yitzhak. Where does this connect? Where does this connect? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm asking you, where did the rabbi acquire this information about the radio waves?
Yes, the rabbis before him, such as, again, the acronym I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah, the acronym of ADAM has nothing to do with radio waves.
No, I didn't say that it does. I didn't say that it does. I said...
asking you where the rabbis got the information from.
And I answered that.
You didn't.
Yes, I did. I said the rabbis before him.
You just said from other rabbis before them.
That's me answering you, correct?
Well, who originated it?
Well, first of all, let me get to how it connects to me, which was your original question, correct?
That wasn't my original question.
Your original question was how do you prove you're the Messiah?
Just to be clear, this is going to be about you being the Messiah, right?
That is correct.
Lady Christ, welcome back. Do you have evidence this time?
Hey, well, last time you wanted me to present actually in regards to evidence as to why I'm the actual Mashiach, but
yes,
Justin, everyone's gonna go back and hear this. Like I'm gonna repost this.
I don't know why you get off on embarrassing.
Justin, I'm gonna show everybody this. Your community isn't that big, buddy, and it's going extinct. I'm gonna show everybody what with. It's not big. You just, hey, you remember to send me that message, and you started off with 0.
Being the Messiah in 2025 and having like 50 followers and getting cooked every Atheist live you go to. Wild.
Now, as you see here, Justin went to turn off my microphone like the coward that he is, and there went his words of, yeah, we'll get to that eventually with regards to the subject matter he was supposedly there to defend, let alone trying to run from going any deeper into the reality of what it is that I am by the grace of God, as it not only will ruin his little Ponzi scheme, but ultimately it drives these kids crazy who have spent so many years trying to convince themselves that there is no God, which obviously they are absolutely incorrect. Now, like the pathological liar that he is, hoping that whatever crowd is stupid enough to be swayed by his nonsense, he then goes to try to state that I began threatening him. When what I stated was in essence, if he was in person, talking with the disrespect that he was, he would be destroyed. Not that I had intentions of doing so. In fact, I told him he was safe and we were just talking. And that not only triggered him to begin acting like a tough guy, but then now he continues. And on top of it, makes up the blatant lie that I have initiated threatening somebody before. Also notice how Justin goes from acting like no one goes onto my page, no one watches any of my sharings, to supposedly being such an expert on what it is that I've been doing.
He does that before. He's done that to other people. And that's all they have when their talking points fall flat.
This is great. Oh, I'm glad it's
all they have.
Well, you told me
he wants to come over to my state.
Oh.
Throw him against the wall a few times. Let's see what we've got.
So of course, I followed up with Justin in regards to his proposal. And you are more than welcome to, of course, pause to read through these messages. But ultimately, the little punk coward showed himself to be exactly that, as he first did indeed share with me where he's staying, or at least a city and state. But then in trying to worm his way out of things, and I owe the animals more credit than that, when I ask him what day, he then responds with the day which is the Sabbath. Shows the depths of cowardice of our little expert here. So then I continue to follow up, to press for a day which of course is not on the Sabbath. And then of course all of a sudden there were no more messages from Justin. He went to go try to have his little boyfriends make him feel better about it, which I literally invited each and every single one of them to join him, and each and every single one of them declined. But as you see here, I caught our little thug, our little gangster Justin, here on one of his buddies' comments, and yet and still no response thereafter. So as you see here, I commented on one of his posts and still there was no response. So then I caught him doing a live after this interaction with me and immediately let it be known that Justin tried to act tough and challenged me to a fight and then of course began to run. And now that you just watched and heard what actually happened, you see just how disingenuous the flat out liars of these quote atheist communities truly are, as these little paid trolls are just flat out lying about what happened as you're reading through here. And after some time of me clearing up what actually happened here, let alone correcting all of Justin's lies as he's trying to hoodwink whoever it is that he's speaking to at the moment, truly just hoping that they have no idea just how much he is completely talking out of his rear end when it comes to his claims. Though of course, there are very many in the comment section which also point out the very same truths, which literally extinguish this coward's lies. But as we'll do another sharing in regards to how these cowards usually try to immediately mute me from the conversation as I continue to answer correctly what is actually going on, as they're trying to sway whatever crowd that they're hoping are purely ignorant as to their claims. So before we point out how Justin completely ran from speaking to me again, you'll first see further proof that he indeed knew I was present in watching the live, and let alone thereafter in the quote guest box in order to speak with him.
Look at Landy Christ crashing out for like the last hour in the TikTok comments. Landy, you're the weakest ass Messiah I've ever heard in my entire life.
Now outside of the word Messiah, you will see that Justin was just self-projecting about himself, as ultimately he literally got caught avoiding me, running from me, as there was a person which dropped off from being disconnected while they were speaking to Justin, and I was already waiting to crush this kid once more even prior to that conversation, and then the person pops up on the live again in conversation. So then I wrote one of the moderators who earlier stated that not only did they see me in that guest box, but that they were continuously placing me at the head of the queue. As you are reading my message to that person here, and as you're reading here, that person responds that they were trying, but Justin chooses who he chooses, as he was running from me for in essence well over an hour. So then, after Justin realizes that I have become aware that he was running from me, he then panics and decides to block me again. So to those of you who are truly pure at heart and not just a little pretending members of these atheist cowardly communities, look through my sharings and further strengthen yourselves in these scriptures, in this God-given truth. Do not allow yourself to be corralled by the fear of any of these cowards. And to any atheists watching this, which one of you dares challenge the Christ? Which one of you sticks up for this little punk who many herald to be the strongest of you all, which all of his little degrees, just as I've stated before, I have wiped myself with, as the only degrees here, the only papers of certification here are my very scriptures, which by the grace of God, I and those of my truth continue to prove correct. Hallelujah.